Will paying student athletes for their skills create conflict, or will it motivate more athletes to showcase their abilities? Today I'm going to inform you of the positive and negative effects of paying student athletes. In doing much research, I believe I am knowledgeable enough to give the pros and cons of this debate. This is a topic that has been discussed over the years, and it is important to understand the pros and cons in paying student athletes. I will do this by listing the advantages as well as the disadvantages of paying student athletes. Paying college athletes would not only promote the athlete, but it would also help this college. One main point why athletes should get paid is due to their motivation to stay in school. For example, if a student got offered to run for a Division I college, this would motivate the athlete to stay in school as long as they could in order to engage in that sport. A student must enroll in classes and maintain good grades in order to play in their sport. Students are willing to stay in school as long as they can in order to play their sports. Paying the student athlete would promote the athlete as well as their parents in worrying less about school bills such as tuition, books, meal plan, and housing. Former Oklahoma football player Adrian Peterson stated, "How come a kid that's at a high level that's going to be offered a big amount of money can't sit down and be like, dang, this is my decision?" Colleges could also benefit as popularity would rise and the student would get paid, so it would be a win-win situation overall. As student athletes would browse the schools that they would want to attend, it would be beneficial for them as they would maybe choose a school that offered the most money. An example of this is if a student got offered money from 3 different universities, the student might choose the school with the most money. As students would get paid for their outstanding performances, this would be beneficial to colleges, coaches, and the students. An example of this is at the University of Alabama, former quarterback Jalen Hurts attended and got drafted into the NFL. If a student were to follow this, they would want to go to that school due to knowing that Jalen Hurts was a good football player. The top NCAA Division I schools earn approximately $8.5 billion in annual revenue, with 58% of that revenue coming directly from men's football and basketball programs. As these NCAA Division I schools are earning revenue, it's bringing in money from the sports that the school is offering. So they're gaining more money than colleges that don't offer those sports or don't have enough people to participate in those sports. Although it may seem like there is a positive impact of student athletes getting paid, there is also a negative impact. As the pros of student athletes getting paid seems reasonable, we have to look at the negative side of it. Motivation plays a great aspect in athletes getting paid, but it's important to understand that paying these athletes comes with negative sides. Paying a student athlete might make a student choose a school just because of the money being brought in and the sport that they're playing. An example of this is if a college or a coach was offering a student athlete money to play in a sport or to go to their school, they would sacrifice their own knowledge in school to go play that sport. Cody McDavis says, "If the universities start paying athletes, it comes at a cost." This is a true statement, as the athlete would be risking their own education just to attend the school that offered the most money for them to engage in that sport. In paying these athletes, they would have no time to partake in their school studies and taking time to actually engage in their schoolwork. Megan James says, "College is meant for students to learn. It is not a job. It is not meant for student athletes to get paid. That is why the professional levels for school comes first before any extracurricular activity such as sports." In saying this, students would sacrifice their school time just to focus on their performances in that sport. As the focus is usually on basketball and football teams here in Texas, this create conflicts within other sports. If athletes were to get paid, we would see a drastic difference in how much money each sport would get. Cody McDavis also says top programs will demand even more money to keep up with the competition, and the easiest source of that extra cash comes from cutting sports that don't have money, such as track and field, wrestling, and softball. McDavis' statement shows that the top sports would have to get cut from these colleges because the sports wouldn't give enough money to the school. If college athletes were to get paid, where would the money come from in granting other student scholarships? Cody McDavis also says any cuts in athletic scholarships disproportionately hurts people. Not only would cutting the scholarship within diverse people, it would also hurt in the kids that have great abilities in these sports, but they wouldn't be able to get offered a scholarship due to all the money going to the school paying those teams. As the positive impacts sound good, it's important to realize that there are negative impacts as well. Paying student athletes has its pros and cons within both debates. It's good on one side for motivation and gaining popularity, but on the negative side, it creates conflict within sports as well as bribing scenarios. I hope with the given information that I've presented today that you all are aware of the pros and cons in paying student athletes. All the information that has been presented today came from reliable sources, and I encourage you to decide your stance on this debate. Thank you.